Hello, Steeler Nation, and welcome to your Steeler Nation podcast, part of the DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcast Network, sponsored by Total Sports Enterprises. I'm your host, Stryker, and thank you very much to Matt Stafford and Tom Brady for ruining the NFL quarterback situation. That is right, ladies and gentlemen, 2 years in a row. This past year, obviously, with Matt Stafford going from Detroit to Los Angeles and winning a championship. The year before, Tom Brady leaving New England after decades of superiority, winning a Super Bowl in his first year with Tampa Bay. Oddly enough, both of those teams winning the Super Bowl in their home cities. That's an interesting tidbit. But the rest of the league now is not happy with their quarterback situation, no matter how good these teams are doing. It's insane. This is the first time in my history of watching the NFL where you've seen so many good players that have won MVPs, current MVP winners, not happy with their situations in their cities, being the one seed in their conference, making it deep in the playoffs. This is insane, and it's a great year for the Pittsburgh Steelers to be looking for quarterbacks, because right now, really, we only have 6 teams in the entire NFL that are 100% happy with their quarterback situation. Those 6 teams: Cowboys with Dak Prescott, Rams with Matt Stafford, the only 2 in the NFC in my opinion. In the AFC, you have Buffalo with Josh Rosen, Cincinnati with Joe Burrow, Kansas City with Pat Mahomes, and the Chargers with Herbert. That's it. Those are your 6 teams that you're going to bed as a fan, you're going to bed as a front office owner, you're going to bed as the quarterback, knowing your situation is 100% locked in for next year. Now we've got a couple situations with a few teams here that are still winning franchises, still have good quarterbacks, but we don't know where they're going to go with their quarterback situations yet. But these are 4 winning teams right now that are locked into their quarterbacks, and I'll tell you why. First is New England with Jones. Rookie quarterback. Obviously, they're not going to get rid of him, especially since he had a great rookie year. They made the playoffs. He made the Pro Bowl. Fortunately, since Joe Burrow went to the Super Bowl, he was able to make it into the Pro Bowl as an alternate, so you're not getting rid of him. Titans with Tannehill are financially locked to Tannehill, but the whole fan base is like, why can't this guy win in the playoffs? We got the best rushing attack in the league. Why can't Henry get us to the Super Bowl? We need a better quarterback. I hear that a lot of rumblings there out of Titan Nation. Browns and Ravens, 2 other teams that are locked into their quarterback financially because both of them picked up their 5th-year option on those quarterbacks. So Baker is going to cost $18.8 million for this season. Already locked in, was locked in last year. Same thing with Lamar, but since he won an MVP, I believe his number went up to $23 million instead of the $18.8 for most of the lock-in, first-round lock-ins from that draft class, that great draft class from 5 years ago. Obviously, Rosen got a new, or not Rosen, but Allen got a new contract. We'll talk about Rosen in a hair here. But even with the 5th-year option with those 2 teams, with the Browns, with the Ravens, this may be the year where their teams go, okay, we are going to give you your multi-year contract, save a little bit of money off of this 1-year locked number, and we'll get you locked in for 6, 7, 8 years. That's what teams are doing, usually looking to do. Lamar's got a shot of it this year. If the Ravens still aren't 100% on him and they force him to play his 5th-year option, I don't know if he'll sit out. He'd have a perfect opportunity to sit out because he won an MVP. You don't sit an MVP. You don't lock up a guy who won an MVP trophy in his rookie contract. That would be the first time I've ever thought of that or thought of a team doing that. A quarterback winning league MVP on their rookie contract and not 100% ready to commit to them as their franchise. That's what these 2 people, what Lamar Jackson and the Ravens are thinking about entering free agency. Is this going to be the year? Is he our guy? If he's not, there's going to be a lot of dissent in Birdland in Baltimore. Same thing with Clownland in Cleveland We got Baker Mayfield locked into his $18.8 million fifth-year option, but the fan base is like, is this guy even a quarterback? I talk with the fans all the time on their podcasts. They're not committed to this guy. Their front office doesn't seem to be committed to this guy. He won him a playoff game against us 2 years ago, but the best roster in the AFC North and the only one with a losing record didn't make the playoffs. Actually, no, they tied the Ravens both with 8-9, barely losing record. 8-9, I'm still not even considering that a losing record yet, because with the odd number, yeah, it is technically a losing record, but still 8 wins is something to be achievable in this league. But that's what he is. That's what Steeler Nation thinks Baker is. Steeler Nation thinks he's a 500 quarterback. And that doesn't matter who his talent is. He's got talent up and down that roster, deep talent, tight end, wide receiver, running back, great offensive line, great defense, and can't get out of the basement of the AFC North. That's why they're not 100% committed on that guy. And those are some interesting situations to watch moving forward, though I don't want either Lamar Jackson or Baker, just so you guys know if any of those guys became available. Now, here's some bad teams in the NFL that are tied to their quarterback financially. I started mentioning Rosen, who was initially signed in that same draft class on his fifth-year option this year by the Jets, was traded with his rookie contract to the Carolina Panthers, and they have his fifth-year option. They exercised it last year. He's locked in at $18.8 million as well. So he's not going anywhere. The Bears were having some rumblings about not being happy with Fields, but the guy's in his third year of his rookie quarterback. He costs nothing. You really can't get rid of him. Lions are kind of locked into Goff for another year. They can't really move him until next year because financially it doesn't work out for them. They don't want to be upside down in that deal. Giants are tied to Jones with his rookie contract. He's in his fourth year. Are they going to give him his fifth-year option? They got to decide this year whether they're going to give Jones his fifth-year option, and I don't think they're going to. Jags are tied in with Lawrence in his second year. Miami have rumblings about not wanting Tua, but I think they're locked into him as well. He's in the same situation where he still has to play out his third and fourth years, and they still have his fifth-year option. So if you're going to trade Tua, there is a lot of value to trading Tua. He is cheap. Next year, he costs $3.5 million. Year after that, costs $4.5 million. He costs nothing. But Miami would expect draft picks for that kind of value. If the Steelers wanted a guy like that, they have to be committed to Tua being their guy. Is he? I don't know. I don't hate the guy's athleticism, but he's a project to me. He's a project player, and we've got a lot more established quarterbacks to talk about here in a couple seconds that are not projects, that are established quarterbacks that have won in this league, that have won Super Bowls in this league, and have taken their teams deep to championship level in the playoffs. But before we get to that moment, there are 6 teams that absolutely need a quarterback next year. Just don't have one. New York Jets don't have a quarterback. Pittsburgh Steelers don't have an established quarterback. Don't have an established quarterback. Denver Broncos. Washington Commanders. Thank you for having a name. Washington Commanders don't have a quarterback. Tampa Bay now with Brady retiring. If he doesn't unretire, they don't have a quarterback. And New Orleans does not have a quarterback. So, I mean, Hill's on the roster. They were discussing Hill being their guy. If that's the case, this is this year to commit to Hill. But we have a nice pool, a bigger pool of wish quarterbacks that Steeler Nation wishes could come to their team. And now we know a couple of the names. We discussed them on the podcast. But this is the first podcast where I'm going to discuss the financial feasibility and get rid of some of these pipe dream options and terrible albatross contracts that there is no way the Steelers would lock themselves into these players with the way they are currently existing. So let's talk about the quarterbacks. First off, I'm just going to go down the list quickly. Good teams that are unhappy with their quarterback situation or the quarterback is unhappy with them. For some reason, 2-time MVP, Super Bowl winning quarterback Aaron Rodgers number one seed in the NFC, is not happy with the situation in Green Bay. Green Bay's been talking about moving on from him now, going into 2 years. This is the financial option where it becomes viable. We'll talk the finances soon. Arizona now having issues with Kyler Murray. This is a young quarterback. This is a guy who just scrubbed all of his social media of everything that says Phoenix Cardinals. And I don't know if you've been through a breakup before in this generation on social media. When somebody starts taking you off all their pictures on social media, it means they don't want to be with you no more. I've learned that. I'm an old man and I've learned that. So big deal with Kyler Murray being in there. Jimmy G, San Francisco saying they're not happy with, I guess, the way that Jimmy G always gets them to the NFC Championship area, but they can't seem to push over and get to the Super Bowl. Another quarterback there. Colts now bailing on Wentz. I know they were an 8-win team, or no, they're still a 9-win team, weren't they? Yeah, they were a 9-win team. And just bombed in that last game against Jacksonville where all they had to do was win and get in. Wentz failed to do that. He laid an egg. The organization's not happy with him because they're used to buying quarterbacks and making it to the playoffs because they've got a good team. They've got good talent. They've got a good offensive line. They've got a good defense. It's a good situation for a quarterback to excel in. Rivers excelled in that situation, took him to the playoffs. But Wentz is now on the block. And then this one was the most interesting one of them all. The one out of the AFC West that made the plays to get his team to the playoffs over the Chargers and Herbert. And that is Las Vegas. And for some reason, they're not happy with Carr. They want to drive a new Carr to the playoffs, it looks like. I don't know why they're not happy with him, but he is now an option. He's on the block. He's on the wish list. The wish list. And now we'll talk about quarterbacks that you normally hear about being available, losing teams where the quarterback situation isn't happy. Those players tend to move, and we still have some good quarterbacks here. Kirk Cousins with Minnesota, still getting his team to 8 wins. Good quarterback, great touchdown to interception ratio with that guy. I don't know why he isn't winning games, but they're not. But Cousins is one of those we should think about. Russell Wilson in Seattle, former Super Bowl winner. MVP caliber. Guy's a great quarterback. Matty Ice in Atlanta. The honeymoon's over. You took us to a Super Bowl. You blew the biggest Super Bowl lead in NFL history. What are you going to do, Matty Ice? We're trying to move you. And then Deshaun Watson. He's been mentioned a lot. He didn't play at all last year. And let's talk about Deshaun Watson first, because now I'm done listing the quarterbacks. He is number one at the top. So now what I did was took every single quarterback that we just mentioned, and now I put a dollar amount on them because this is what their contracts are locked into. This is what the Pittsburgh Steelers should be expecting to pay. And this is why I think Deshaun Watson is nowhere near, is not even on the Pittsburgh Steelers' radar. His contract obligation for next year is $35 million. That is the highest of any quarterback on the unhappy block, is what I will call it. No chance of him coming over, and his 4 years cap value for the next 4 years, which he's already locked into, $35 million for this upcoming year, $37 million, $32 million, and $32 million. A guy with that many offseason problems and still missing a season because of these offseason allegations. Zero chance the Steelers take this guy. Zero chance the guy's even. I don't see any team taking a quarterback. I mean, this was a franchise quarterback contract. He was a great quarterback. Now he has ruined his reputation and nobody wants him. Any of these quarterbacks that I mentioned, if they get cut, the story changes because they are no longer guaranteed. The money's not guaranteed. The money changes. These are all quarterbacks that are on a contract that are looking to be traded. So that Watson contract is an albatross. It's the worst contract out of any of these available wish list quarterbacks. We are cutting Watson completely out of the quarterback conversation. Anything moving forward, I would be vehemently against signing Deshaun Watson. Next person on there, just as expensive as Deshaun Watson, has 1 year left on his contract, and it is that Minnesota Vikings contract for Kirk Cousins. No chance am I spending $35 million, and that's what it would cost the Steelers. That's not his cap hit on Minnesota. Minnesota's still liable for a signing, but all these teams are liable for signing bonuses. I cut off the signing bonuses. This is what it was cost to be on the Steelers roster this year. $35 million is too much for a quarterback. Goodbye, Kirk Cousins. You are not going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Next highest one, somebody that's gotten a little bit more traction here lately. Not a half bad option. He's locked in for 3 more years. And this is Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz's value for next year is $28 million. Not a horrible contract for a good quarterback in the NFL. 3 years, 28, 26, 27 million. And that's a team that is no longer happy with him at all, trying to move him. Might be able to get something done, but still a bit high. There are still better quarterbacks with better value on this list. So if I'm the GM, I'm sorry, Wentz, but I'm not calling your agent. The next guy is the highest quarterback that I would consider calling their agent, and that is one that we have talked about vehemently across our podcast, even during this season, and that is Green Bay Packer Aaron Rodgers. Only costing $27 million next year, but that's the only thing he's under contract for. He's a 2-time current reigning MVP of the league. He's playing at the highest level. That is what you want to look for, kind of like the way Tom Brady, when he moved from New England to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay knew they were getting the best quarterback in the league. That it would be happening in this situation. If we're paying for Rodgers on a 1-year deal, that is what the Pittsburgh Steelers would be doing. $27 million, lock him up, make him a Steeler. Doesn't really kill you horribly financially, but we would have to make some moves. Now, the next one is a little higher, and that is Matty Ice at $26 million. So if you're talking about value and Matty Ice or Aaron Rodgers, I'd rather take the extra $1 million on Rodgers. Matty Ice, I'm sorry, we're not calling your agent. You're off of our list. Next one, quarterback tied up for 2 years, has won a Super Bowl, MVP caliber, and that is Wilson out of Seattle. Russell Wilson is a hell of a quarterback. I love his decision-making. I love his pocket mobility. I love that he can make any throw and he's creative. I think he would excel in Pittsburgh, and he would be cheaper at $25 million next year and $27 million the following season. Very, very affordable quarterback when you know you're getting an upper echelon quarterback in that spot. Somebody a little bit more mobile that I think would work better behind our offensive line, even better than Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers would not thrive behind our offensive line the way we have it currently. We need a better mobile quarterback that is better at decision-making and creating his own time. And I would take Wilson over Rodgers in that situation. Save the $2 million, lock him up for 2 years, and have a good quarterback. Next one, still high. $25 million, same price as Russell Wilson. Jimmy Garoppolo, a guy that's a winning all he does is win, no matter what. I mean, he's guy knows how to win in the league. In the playoffs, they're just not happy that he's not getting him to the Super Bowl. I mean, he's going up against good quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. He went up against a Super Bowl winning Matt Stafford, and they beat him. He's doing a good job of ripping through Aaron Rodgers up through this year. San Francisco owns Green Bay. And Garoppolo's a big part of that because Aaron Rodgers cannot beat Garoppolo in the playoffs. So does that translate to being a franchise quarterback? I think he's a good quarterback. I like winners. I like accurate quarterbacks. I think that those check the boxes. But for value, I'd rather have Rodgers or Wilson over top of Jimmy G. And I like Wilson's mobility better and decision-making. So that's where they're at. Now we get into a situation with 2 quarterbacks that I didn't think would be available that make good sense for the Steelers and are excellent value. $19 million for a quarterback next year, an established NFL quarterback, and that is Derek Carr. good quarterback, wants to win. He's put in an incredibly difficult situation with the Raiders. Raiders don't even know where they're going to play in which city, let alone, or who their coach is going to be. And their front office always loves to really press what it's like to be in the locker room of the Raiders. They never really come to the aid of their locker room the way that the Rooneys do. The Rooneys don't push locker room issues. They do not make issue. Dallas, yes. Lots of times in Dallas. Hell, their GM is their freaking owner, is their publicist. No press is bad press. Loose lips, Jimmy Johnson, or not Jimmy Johnson, freaking the older guy. He was their old coach. But their owner loves to talk about their team problems all the time. Same thing with the Raiders. Raiders always have a lot of yapping. I mean, yeah, give them some props to Chucky, who tried to lock him down there early in this offseason, trying to create this new system of winning for Vegas, and then AB comes in and blows up the place, and a couple weeks later, Chucky gets fired. I mean, it's a tough situation. So Carr is not there. Carr is not assured to be a Raider next year. $19 million, new coach. Might want to go a different direction. Might want to draft a quarterback, their own guy, to mold in the system. But still might want to keep Carr for that year, for their bridge year. But still, $19 million is excellent value for a guy like that. And now we get to my number one pick for wish quarterbacks, giving the Pittsburgh Steelers the single greatest value, bang for the buck, that they can get out of any player if we trade for them. Kyler freaking Murray. You want to know his numbers, Steeler Nation, for the next 2 years. Or next year at least, sorry. $5 million. Kyler Murray costs $5 million next year. And I'm just grabbing his contract here quickly just because I don't want to mispronounce the information here, because I am so insanely happy with the way this quarterback looks for the Pittsburgh Steelers financially, because it's one that I didn't even think he'd be available. They made the playoffs. They started off on a tear. He got a little bit banged up, and then they started losing some games. But yeah, this year would cost the Steelers $5.5 million for this season. Plus, they would gain his fifth-year option for next year. That is value. And if he signed before free agency, the Steelers would lock in that fifth-year option, bang, right on signing day. We're giving you your fifth-year option, where he would cost in the neighborhood of $20 million the following season. Win freaking win. You're going bang for buck. Steeler wishlist quarterback, Steeler Nation. Kyler Murray is your number one choice for Pittsburgh Steeler quarterback. Excellently mobile, great decision maker, good, accurate quarterback, can make plays on his own, so the offensive line isn't as much of an issue. Plus, we've got some talent for him. Great situation for him to come in. Kyler Murray, come on over from Pittsburgh West, be part of Pittsburgh East. Join us for hopefully a Super Bowl run next season. So that's all of the quarterbacks we've run down through, and my thinking, at least for this upcoming season. We've reached the point of the podcast where we take questions from Steeler Nation over at SteelerNation.com. Free to sign up. In the football forum, I put up a thread each week asking questions. /Steel gives us the first ones. Go out on a limb and tell us if the Steelers will draft a quarterback this year or sign one, and why. Personally, we've already gone down the wish list, and that's strictly for non-free agent quarterbacks. My number one free agent quarterback is Jameis Winston. I want to take a flyer on that guy because he can win, and he was doing an excellent job in New Orleans before he hurt himself. That is my number one. Bridgewater to a much lesser extent. Now, if we're drafting quarterback, this might be the year we might not even draft one. Steelers have a lot more holes they need to fill. We can see that there's a lot of teams here that actually do need some quarterbacks. When we're sitting there at 20 and a quarterback's available, if Kenny Pickett's on the board and Steelers don't like his small hands, this might be the first year we don't run to a podium. This might be the first year we hang out a little bit. Hey. Yeah. You want to take us? Well, we're thinking about taking a quarterback. But you want to what? Oh, okay. Well, yeah, we'll do that trade. Sounds great. Win-win. Let's go. Because that's what we need. We need an offensive player, offensive lineman, probably a defensive line, interior linebackers, and secondary. An edge corner, maybe another slot corner, definitely a strong safety. That's where we're going to have to be looking if we don't fill those gaps in free agency. So that's my call on those. Next question from Slash Steel. If I could interview one current Steeler player, who would it be? I tell you, there's a few Steelers I would love to interview. And special teams, I would be happy interviewing Presley Harvin III or Boz. Honestly, would love to interview both of those guys. But my absolute number one guy to interview would be TJ Watt. Defensive Player of the Year. I really want to get the insight of that guy, hear how he ticks, what type of motivation he gives to himself. That would be an awesome interview. And there's another person I have to talk about on offense as well, and that's Najee Harris, the future of the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers offense is going to be a Najee Harris offense next year. Already kind of was this year. Next year, it's going to be a 100% Najee Harris offense, taking a lot of pressure off of any quarterback we bring in. But he does so many good things on and off the field, and he's not that big of he's good with the media, but he doesn't really reach out a lot to the media. But I want to get to know him as a person. And I think that would just be a really, really interesting interview to hear the types of things that he's involved with, that he gets excited about, that he does to help not only the Pittsburgh community, but the American community to make everybody's lives better, as he did in Los Angeles. So kudos to him. Those two guys definitely would love to talk to them. Last question from Slash Steel. Say-In's women is 2 rooms over making a grocery list. She blurts out asking if I need anything from the store, knowing I need milk. Would I say it in a normal voice, or would I speak louder? Yes, I would definitely speak louder for milk, if that's what you're getting at. I see what you're doing there, Slash. Always love your questions, my friend. MTC, giving me questions, busting my balls over at Steeler Nation. Welcome to Steeler Nation. I go as Cope over there on Steeler Nation for Stryker. Welcome to Steeler Nation, Cope. My name is MTC. I like romantic dinners and long walks on the beach. My friend Slash runs out of milk weekly. But yes, inquiring minds want to know, do you speak louder or at a normal tone when you need milk? And I say, if you don't hear it from me the first time, MTC, I will speak louder for milk. I will. That's just the way it goes. Great point. Piece of advice for anybody coming to the forum. If Cooley offers candy, say no. Just walk away. Don't look back. Solid sage advice for anyone venturing into the Steeler Nation forum. Anyway, welcome to Steeler Nation. Make yourself at home. Thank you, MTC. We're great friends. We've only known each other for like 15 years now. But you too can find your home at SteelerNation.com. Steeler Nation. Click on the football forum, free to sign up, make a fun handle, join the discussion. Awesome discussion all the time over in the football forum at SteelerNation.com. And it's free to join. I'm over there too, as I said, as Cope. So come on over and have some fun. Check out our sponsor, TSEshop.com, Total Sports Enterprises. Go get some great signed gear. Always have something given away for free on the Total Sports Enterprises Twitter. So make sure you give them a follow. Vidcast is every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Check out great Western Pennsylvania sports content and local Pittsburgh sports at dkpittsburghsports.com, as well as their awesome lineup of podcasts at the DK Pittsburgh Podcast Network. Read our great Pittsburgh Steeler-oriented articles at SteelerNation.com. Follow us at Steeler Nation on Twitter. Instagram us at SteelerNation.com. Follow the podcast at _SN Podcast. Or Instagram, Steeler Nation Podcast, or follow me on Instagram and Twitters at SN Stryker. Thank you for joining us for the Steeler Nation Podcast, sponsored by Total Sports Enterprises, part of the great DK Podcast Network. I'm your host, G Stryker, with Lexi, the Cincinnati Bengals Super Bowl losing cat, rooting along with you as always. Go Steelers!